Greetings, Boogie fans! Michael here, and Pokemon Sword and Shield are some of the most anticipated and hyped up games coming out in 2019. However, they're also some of the most controversial. So in this video today, I will be going over all of the information that you should keep in mind when making your decision as to whether you're gonna get the games or not. If you're watching this and worried about spoilers, the only leaked piece of information, since officially released information is fair game, that I will be discussing is the number of Pokemon available in the game. Both the number of old Pokemon and the number of new Pokemon. If this is a piece of information you would rather not have until you play the game yourself, then skip a couple minutes forward in the video because that's what I'm going to talk about first. So let's do what I said and start with that. One of the main reasons that Pokemon Sword and Shield are so controversial is a situation widely known as Dexit. Back in June at E3, Game Freak confirmed that the only Pokemon that will be able to be transferred into Sword and Shield from older games are Pokemon that are already within the Galar Pokedex. In other words, if a Pokemon is not obtainable in Sword and Shield, it cannot be transferred into Sword and Shield, with the exception of alternate forms. So, for example, Cantonian Vulpix and Ninetales are available in Sword and Shield, but Alolan Vulpix and Ninetales are not. However, you can still transfer Alolan Vulpix and Ninetales in because their species is already within the Galar Pokedex. Now for the leaked information as to how many Pokemon will be available in Sword and Shield. As of now, it appears that the Galar Pokedex is an even 400 species of Pokemon. Of those 400, 81 are totally new species of Pokemon, and 13 are Galarian forms. Therefore, if you combine the 306 old Pokemon with the 13 Galarian forms, that means there are 319 older species of Pokemon that can be transferred into Sword and Shield. Since remember, a Galarian form's original form will be able to be transferred in. Of those that can be transferred in, none of them are legendary Pokemon, and the only old starter Pokemon line that can be brought in is the Charizard line. That is the extent of the leaked information that I'll be covering in this video. This Pokemon limitation has been the primary source of division within the Pokemon fanbase in regards to Sword and Shield. Many are very upset by it, and many are completely fine with it. I personally am fine with it, but wish less had been cut, so I do understand why people are upset about it. I'm not going to be diving into the debate about whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, or discuss any of the theorized reasons or justifications for the cuts. The bottom line is that this is how it is, and so you'll have to form your own opinion as to whether this is a deal breaker or not. Before I move on to the next topic though, there's one piece of information about the Dexit situation that you should know. And that is that even if we could transfer every old Pokemon into Sword and Shield, no one will be able to transfer any Pokemon until Pokemon Home comes out. If you didn't know, Pokemon Home is the upcoming mobile app that's intended to be a fun place to store and interact with Pokemon, while also being the way that you transfer Pokemon from older games into Sword and Shield. We currently don't have a release date for Pokemon Home. All it says is early 2020, and that's all we've got. So therefore, you won't be able to transfer any Pokemon into Sword and Shield for a few months after release, at least, just like was the situation with Pokemon Bank when Sun and Moon came out. Alright, I think that covers all the information on the Dexit situation, so the next topic to discuss is the price. Pokemon Sword and Shield are $60 US each, and purchasing the double pack doesn't give you a discount, at least at this point in time. So therefore, if you want both games, it's gonna be $120. This price is the same as virtually every other first-party Nintendo Switch game, but it's substantially more than what main series Pokemon games have cost in the past. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the last games on the 3DS, cost about $40 at the time of release. At least, I'm pretty sure they did. Some people have criticized the $60 price tag by saying you're paying $20 more for a game that's the same quality as a 3DS game. Others have pushed back against this, saying you can't really say how the quality of it compares to a 3DS game without having played the games yet. One thing I will say though is that Sword and Shield will most definitely have more content within them than Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee did, and the Let's Go games also cost $60. Also, another thing to remember is benefits that Switch games have that 3DS games did not. One is being able to play both on the TV or on the go, assuming you have a regular Switch and not a Switch Lite. Another big advantage is something that the main series Pokemon games have not had in the past, other than Let's Go, and that being multiple save files thanks to the Switch's user feature. These are features that one could justify the higher price tag with. The next topic is the potential for an enhanced version or versions. Every generation of Pokemon except Generation 6 has had a sequel or enhanced version of that generation's first set of games. Gen 1 had Yellow version, Gen 2 had Crystal, Gen 3 had Emerald, Gen 4 had Platinum, Gen 5 had Black 2 and White 2, and Gen 7 had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Many Pokemon fans don't like that enhanced versions exist because they claim that they're basically the same as the games that they've already bought, just better. So, some potential buyers of Sword and Shield might be considering waiting on buying them until an enhanced version of them comes out later. That is something you could definitely consider, but there are some risks associated with it. The first is that the absolute soonest you could play it would be November of 2020. Pokemon has been releasing games yearly in November since Pokemon Sun and Moon, so there's a decent chance that around a year from now in November of 2020, they could come out with Sword and Shield enhanced versions, like they came out with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon a year after Sun and Moon. However, there's a very solid chance that that release is not going to be a Sword and Shield enhanced version. It could be Diamond and Pearl remakes, it could be another installment in the Let's Go series. Heck, they may not even keep up with the yearly release schedule anymore and not release anything next year. And of course, because they've set a precedent for it in Generation 6, they may not do an enhanced version at all. They did X and Y, but they never did Z or X2 and Y2. They're doing Sword and Shield, but they may never do Sword 2 and Shield 2, or Axe version, or Spear version, or Gun? So in short, waiting for an enhanced version could definitely save you money, but the soonest you'll be able to play through the Galar region is a year from now, if you'll be able to at all. Now let's talk about in-game features, including new features, returning features, and cut features. First, I'll cover the new features since there's quite a lot. Dynamax is an in-game battle mechanic that allows any Pokemon to get a temporary power boost rather than just those blessed with a new form. Gigantamax is the same as Dynamax, but for certain special individuals of certain species, their appearance will change and they get an exclusive move. Max Raid battles are a new feature where teams of 4 players can take on Dynamax or Gigantamax raid bosses in 4-on-1 battles. If you win, you get to capture the Pokemon that you defeated, and this can be done with NPCs or alongside other real players. The Wild area is an open world area of the map where Pokemon roam, both hidden within the grass and wandering the overworld. The Pokemon you find will depend on the time of day and the weather, and if your game is online, you can see other players exploring here as well. Pokemon Jobs allow you to send your PC Pokemon out to complete tasks for businesses or charities, and in exchange, the Pokemon will gain experience and potentially effort values or rare items as well. Also, autosaves in main series Pokemon for the first time ever, so that's kinda cool. It is also now easier to create competitively viable Pokemon thanks to mints that can change a Pokemon's nature, and a removed limit on how many effort value increasing vitamins you can use. Additionally, egg moves can be transferred between members of the same species rather than just from parent to child. This is not an exhaustive list of all the new features, but these are several that I personally think are pretty cool. But now let's talk about returning features. A very convenient one returning from Let's Go is the storage box being accessible from everywhere, not just the PC and the Pokemon Center. Overworld encounters are also back from Let's Go, and like I mentioned before, thanks to the Switch's user feature, multiple save files are possible. Character customization once again returns, and it is the most in-depth customization available to date. Wonder Trading makes a return with the new name of Surprise Trades. Alternate methods of traversal aside from HMs, those being Ride Pokemon in the Alola games and Secret Techniques in Let's Go, also make a return. Now for the cut features, and I'm only going to be talking about features that were cut from the Generation 7 games, because if I talked about all the features throughout all of Pokemon history that were cut, we'd be here all day. Also, I can only discuss cut features that we know about prior to release, so if there are others that we end up finding out later were cut, I'm sorry I missed them. I didn't know. One of the biggest cuts is Mega Evolution and Z moves, with Dynamax and Gigantamax being the main in-battle activation mechanic instead. The main ramifications for this are that Pokemon that depended on their Mega Evolution or a Z move to be good in competitive battling, well, they're gonna go back to kinda second. Another cut feature is Totem Pokemon boss battles, which replaced gym battles in the Alola games. Sword and Shield make a return to the gym battle system. Another cut feature that only really impacts shiny hunters is soft resetting. In the 3DS, with a simple button combination, you could instantly restart your game, which is really helpful for reset hunts, like for shiny legendaries. However, the Nintendo Switch lacks a feature like that, so if you want to do any resetting shiny hunts, you'll have to go with the more slower method that you did in Let's Go, which is home button, close the software, then restart the software. And finally, I wanted to talk about online. Sword and Shield will have quite a few online features, such as an official ranked battle league, regular trades, surprise trades, finding each other in the wild area, visiting each other's Pokemon camps, max raid battles, and more. However, unlike previous main series games, excluding Let's Go, the online service requires payment. I'm sure the price varies depending on where you live and how much time you pay for, but I believe right now the cost for a year of Nintendo Switch Online is $20. The Nintendo Online service will be required to participate in any of Sword and Shield's online features, excluding Mystery Gift. But you also should know that this online service works for all Nintendo Switch games, not just Sword and Shield. These will not be the first main series games that required the paid online service, because as I mentioned, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee needed this as well. However, the online features for Sword and Shield are definitely a lot more fleshed out than Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee's were, so at least you're getting more bang for your buck. So that should wrap up the important information that you should know before deciding whether or not to buy Pokemon Sword or Shield. I tried to focus mainly on the information that wasn't necessarily obvious, because the core gameplay of traveling around a new region while battling and capturing Pokemon is going to be the same as all the other Pokemon games, excluding Let's Go in regards to catching. Before you go though, don't forget to enter my giveaway for a copy of Pokemon Sword and Shield, link in the description below. Also, if you're interested in my Sword and Shield gameplay content, I'll be streaming a lot of it live on my Twitch starting release day, links in the description below, and I'll also be posting my Let's Play of the series, which will be edited down stream highlights, to my second channel, MandJTV Plays. Links to that is also in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons on Patreon. If you are interested in supporting me and supporting the channel and getting some cool perks in exchange, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. If you're interested in watching some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend this video here. Alright, that's all I have for now, so till next time, Poke fans. Gotta catch them all!